Bellatrix Lestrange may not have been Voldemort's most effective servant. Snape deceived him, Barty Crouch Jr. restored him, and Lucius Malfoy gave him influence. Bellatrix had a darker distinction. She may have been his most fanatically loyal follower. Loyalty controlled every choice and consumed whatever part of her might have resisted him. After his first fall, other Death Eaters hid or denied him. Bellatrix hunted for their missing master and helped torture Frank and Alice Longbottom into insanity. The attack shows the method beneath her apparent madness. The Longbottoms belonged to the Order of the Phoenix, and their torturers believed they knew where Voldemort was. Bellatrix, her husband Rodolphus, his brother Rabastan, and Barty Crouch Jr. were convicted of the crime. They used the Cruciatus Curse until Frank and Alice suffered permanent psychological damage. The cruelty was extreme and deliberate. It was part of a search. Bellatrix's story raises one question. How does a gifted witch become so devoted to one man and his ideology that torture, prison, family betrayal, and death all feel like acceptable proof of faith? Bellatrix came from the Black family, an old pureblood dynasty that treated ancestry as moral rank. She attended Hogwarts, joined Slytherin, married Rodolphus Lestrange, and became a Death Eater. Her background explains only part of what she became. Voldemort attracted followers for different reasons. Some wanted status or embraced pureblood supremacy. Others obeyed out of fear, then protected themselves when his reign collapsed. Bellatrix made her allegiance personal. Voldemort became her supreme authority, and his approval confirmed her value. That environment also gave her a ready-made moral vocabulary. Pure blood meant entitlement, and dissent counted as betrayal instead of disagreement. At Hogwarts, Slytherin surrounded Bellatrix with peers likely to reinforce those beliefs. Joining Voldemort could feel like the full expression of her inheritance and its harshest implications. Her marriage makes that hierarchy clear. Bellatrix and Rodolphus shared the pureblood cause, though the story offers little evidence of intimacy between them. She reserves her strongest admiration for Voldemort. She speaks of him with reverence, craves his trust, and lashes out when she thinks someone has dishonored him. Whether her devotion includes romantic desire remains open to interpretation. The text clearly shows emotional submission. Voldemort's judgment matters more to Bellatrix than the ordinary loyalties of marriage, reputation, or personal safety. Then Voldemort fell in 1981. That moment separated committed believers from opportunists. Bellatrix refused to renounce him or slip back into respectable society. She joined the search that led to the Longbottoms. At her trial, she stayed openly defiant and predicted Voldemort would rise again. She received a life sentence in Azkaban. Most followers would have seen imprisonment as failure. Bellatrix turned it into evidence. She had suffered for the cause while others escaped punishment, giving her a claim that no servant who returned late could easily match. There's nothing romantic about Azkaban's effects. Dementors drain hope, and years of exposure damage the inmates. Still, Bellatrix emerged with her commitment intact. Azkaban may have intensified her instability, though it didn't create her ideology. The Longbottom attack and her defiance in court had already shown that commitment before the prison doors closed. Azkaban strengthened the story Bellatrix told about herself. When she later called herself Voldemort's most loyal servant, she had proof. She stayed faithful when he seemed gone. She spent years among the Dementors instead of trading her allegiance for freedom. That endurance separated her from Death Eaters who claimed coercion after Voldemort's defeat, then returned once he regained power. Voldemort could question her judgment. He had little reason to question where her loyalty pointed. In 1996, Bellatrix escaped during the mass breakout from Azkaban and immediately returned to Voldemort. She needed no fresh incentive and showed no caution about whether his return would last. She soon joined the operation at the Department of Mysteries, where Lucius Malfoy led the Death Eaters sent to recover the prophecy about Voldemort and Harry Potter. Bellatrix didn't command the mission, though she ranked among its most dangerous fighters. She battled Harry and his friends, fought members of the Order, and escaped when the operation collapsed. Then Sirius Black crossed her path. Sirius was an enemy combatant and her cousin, part of the family network that had shaped her life. Bellatrix hit him with a curse and sent him through the veil. Family ties offered no protection to someone she considered a blood traitor. The pattern extends beyond Sirius. Bellatrix's sister Andromeda married the Muggle-born Ted Tonks, and the Black family rejected her. Andromeda's daughter, Nymphadora Tonks, became Bellatrix's enemy and eventual victim. Bellatrix believed ancestry created obligations, but those obligations required ideological obedience. A relative who rejected pureblood supremacy could seem more hateful than a stranger because that rejection appeared to contaminate the family itself. Bellatrix still had some family bonds. She remained close enough to Narcissa to accompany her to Severus Snape's home, even though Voldemort had forbidden any discussion of Draco's mission. Bellatrix distrusted Snape and opposed Narcissa's request, but she stayed and helped bind him with the Unbreakable Vow. The scene shows that Voldemort hadn't erased every competing attachment. Narcissa could still move her. That remaining loyalty rarely threatened the larger cause, which makes Bellatrix so frightening. Even the vow supported a mission Voldemort had ordered. The films emphasize Bellatrix's manic laughter and explosive movement, though her actions often show more calculation than that image suggests. At Spinner's End, she questions Snape's record point by point. At the Department of Mysteries, she understands the prophecy's value and tries to stop Harry from destroying it. At Malfoy Manor, seeing Gryffindor's sword with a prisoner instantly alarms her because the original should be locked inside her Gringotts Vault. Her panic has a clear cause. If someone took one protected object, Voldemort's other secret may also be in danger. She isolates Hermione and tortures her for information. The scene echoes the Longbottom attack. Again, Bellatrix uses pain for interrogation as well as entertainment, combining sadism with a specific goal. She wants to know where the sword came from and whether the prisoners entered her vault. Her method is brutal and her questions are precise. Even under pressure, her violence tracks the threat she sees. Her alarm also explains why Voldemort trusted her vault with Hufflepuff's cup, even though she didn't know it was a Horcrux. Gringotts, her family's status, and her reputation turned the vault into a fortress. Voldemort gave her limited operational trust and kept the information compartmentalized. Her ignorance of the object's true nature was part of the arrangement. Bellatrix explains her connection to Cruelty when Harry tries to use the Cruciatus curse on her. Righteous anger, she tells him, isn't enough. The caster must truly want to cause pain and enjoy doing it. She treats Cruelty as a discipline that demands intention. Her sadism strips away the hesitation that restrains others, and her skill turns that desire into practical force. Voldemort doesn't need to dictate every detail when Bellatrix finds the work itself rewarding. That makes her unusually reliable. Fear can change direction. A frightened servant may run when the master looks weak. Bellatrix's pride, pleasure, and ideology keep driving her toward Voldemort even when loyalty earns punishment. She wants his praise, fears disappointing him, and treats closeness to him as status. After the Department of Mysteries fails, she feels terrified because she has failed the authority she uses to measure her own worth. Her claim that Voldemort personally taught her the dark arts reveals the same dependence. She describes her power as part of his legacy. Her magical ability is real. She defeats skilled opponents, survives major battles, and frightens enemies and allies alike. Yet even her self-praise returns to her master. Voldemort recognized her talent, instructed her, and trusted her enough to shape it. That matters to Bellatrix more than simply possessing the power herself. That trust had firm limits. Bellatrix was never his equal or the keeper of every secret. Voldemort hid the Horcruxes from her. He humiliated the Malfoy household and punished failure without sentiment. Bellatrix's devotion earned no love in return. Their bond was radically unequal. She gave him worship, service, and sacrifice, while he offered approval whenever it suited him. Her fanaticism kept the arrangement working because she saw exploitation as an honor. At Malfoy Manor, you can see this hierarchy clearly. Voldemort mocks Bellatrix over Tonks's marriage to Remus Lupin and the supposed contamination of her family tree. Humiliated, Bellatrix immediately tries to assure him that she and Narcissa want nothing to do with Tonks. She responds to his public degradation by competing to prove her purity. His insult only makes her hunger for his approval more deeply. The Battle of Hogwarts brings these forces together, while the remaining Death Eaters still matter alongside Bellatrix. She keeps fighting with them as the conflict turns desperate. She takes on Hermione, Ginny, and Luna at once, laughing as she forces them back. Then one of her curses narrowly misses Ginny, and Molly Weasley steps forward. By then, the organization around her had lost its confidence. Some followers were dead or captured, others were fleeing or wavering. Narcissa was ready to lie to Voldemort to protect Draco. Bellatrix kept fighting. Her last stand completes the pattern of unwavering commitment, though it does not prove she was strategically supreme. The confrontation works because each woman follows a different kind of family loyalty. Bellatrix sees blood as a hierarchy that she must police. Molly sees family as people she must protect. Bellatrix still cares for Narcissa, so the contrast has limits. The decisive difference remains. Molly's love turns her against a murderous ideology, while Bellatrix repeatedly forces her personal bonds to serve one. Molly kills Bellatrix. Voldemort screams when he sees it, but his reaction comes too late to change what their relationship had always been. Bellatrix dies fighting for a master who valued her usefulness and ignored her humanity. That ending answers the question posed by the Longbottoms. Bellatrix's danger came from something more focused than chaos or a record as Voldemort's most effective operative. Others achieved things she never did. Fanaticism made her dependable through defeat, imprisonment, humiliation, and fear. She could reason and plan, she could hold on to family attachments. Yet she repeatedly placed all of them beneath the same authority. That makes her tragedy more disturbing than simple madness. Bellatrix had a mind and a will of her own. She made choices, understood the consequences, and had enough agency to choose differently. Again and again, she accepted the identity Voldemort offered her. Loyal servant and pure-blood enforcer, someone eager to inflict pain. By the time Molly Weasley faced her, Bellatrix had spent years proving her devotion through destruction. She had almost nothing left that Voldemort had not taught her to sacrifice.